What would you do if they took you and dropped you into a small city where you had never been before? You had $100, an old truck, and that's it. You have a bag of clothes and you got 90 days to make money and build a business. And that's what they did with Grant Cardone in Discovery Channel's show, Undercover Billionaire. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what I learned and the great lessons that I took out of his experience in doing that and what those lessons can mean for you in your business. Whether you're a real estate agent, entrepreneur, or somebody who aspires to be an entrepreneur, what did I learn and what can you learn to take from that? Hey there, it's your coach, Kevin Ray Ward, the founder of Yes Masters Real Estate Success Training, helping you get more yeses and more successes in your business and in your life. And it's very rare that I do anything like this, but I was so struck by this video. It just popped up on my YouTube feed, and I didn't actually watch the episode or the show, The Undercover Billionaire, about Grant Cardone's experience. What I watched was his behind the scenes take of it, which is I think there's a 4.5 hour version of it, and there's a longer version of it on YouTube that I encourage you to watch, but it's a lot to break down. It's a big chunk of time to watch it. So I thought, you know what? I took the time to watch it, and I was taking notes on it of what did I learn from it. And there's 12 lessons that I want to share with you that I think were absolutely profound and powerful about how anyone can start from scratch and succeed in business. Now, whether you're starting as a brand new real estate agent, a brand new entrepreneur, or you're already making money, there are dramatic and powerful lessons to learn from it. So let's dive right into it. So here are the 12 lessons that I learned, and there's just so much of it that I'm gonna try to digest this into a 25 minute video. So here we go. Number one, you can be very afraid and do it anyway. And Grant Cardone talks about, he says, when I was going into this game, going here, they're going to drop you in a town you've never been to before, a town he knew nothing about. He didn't even know which city it was going to be. It ended up being Pueblo, Colorado, which is a fairly small city in Colorado. And that was it. Now, here's what I'll talk about in a minute what he had. But first, just to understand, you can be scared and do it anyway. And he said, I'm scared. I'm not used to being in a place where I don't have influence. I'm not known. I don't have credibility. I don't have resources. And here I am doing this. And he says, the scariest thing that I have done in decades. My friend, you can be terrified and scared and still do it anyway. Never let fear stop you. Second lesson I learned is learning from someone who's done it before you is always going to give you an unfair advantage. If you want to do something, learn from somebody who's done it before. And before they did this episode with Grant Cardone, a guy named Glenn Stearns had done it. And Grant said, I studied that, I watched that, not to learn what he did, but to learn the mistakes he made that I wanted not to do. And he said, I learned not from my mistakes, but I learned from his mistakes. And there's a quote by, it's a quote, I think Buddha or someone, whoever there give credit to it, is an ignorant man learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from others' mistakes. So if you're starting a new business, you're a real estate agent or whatever it is, stop trying to figure it out yourself. Learn from somebody who's actually done it. Okay, number three, you can achieve big things easier than you can achieve small things. You can achieve big things easier than you can achieve small things because the amount of effort it takes to build something is going to be the same amount of effort whether you build it small or you build it large. Whether you buy a 10-unit apartment or a 200-unit apartment, the actual work that goes into putting it all together and making a deal work is virtually the same, and yet the rewards on it are dramatically different. And so here was the game. Here was the challenge that Grant Cardone took. So they were going to drop him off in a city where he had no credibility, could not use his name. He had no credit. They gave him $100. You had $100 in cash. He had an old truck with like a 1999 Suburban with over 200,000 miles on it, and a cell phone and a bag that he could take a bag of clothes and stuff like that. And beyond that, that was just about it. And so he said, going in there, my target was, and the goal was in 90 days, could he build $1 million business? Could you build $1 million business in 90 days or less? And he said, well, the way I think is I'm not going for $1 million. I'm going to 10x that goal and I'm not going to do it in 90 days. I'm going to do it in less than 90 days. And he said, going in, one of the first things you got to figure out is stop trading. You have to stop this idea that I'm going to trade time for money, because he did not have time to just go out and work for somebody else or sell stuff and be able to create a 7-figure business in only 90 days. And in that time, every minute counts. Now, there's so many things that you can unpack here. Number 4, stop spending your time managing money. Spend your time making money. And he said, here's what I noticed. He said, I had $100 that was given to me. That was it. I had $100. And he said, one of the things I did not want to have happen was me start spending that money and worry about managing my $100. How far can I make my $100 go? He said, because that was not going to help me get to $1 million. He said, my focus had to be 100% not on managing the money that I had, but on making money and bringing money in so that I was not worrying about running out of money or managing your money. He says, we spend so much effort and so much time just trying to manage what we have rather than generating more money. And so he literally took his $100, put it in the bank, went and opened a checking account or a bank account, opened the account so that he said, so I would not have any money. And so what I had to do was I had to get creative and think and figure out, how do I go out there and make money, get money, instead of worrying about managing the little bit of money that I had. Okay, now we're going to start getting really, really deep here and really, really powerful. Number 5, collaboration in relationships is the key to making a lot of money. Collaboration in relationships is the key to making a lot of money. Now, a lot of people in real estate, they're trying to go out and find all this new business and figure out marketing strategies and all that, which is awesome. But the key to it is in finding and building great relationships. 70% of all real estate transactions in America are done with an agent that the person already knew. This is the way it goes. Relationships. Now, here was something he did. I've been teaching this now for a couple, 2 or 3 years, I think. And that is that the number of quality conversations you have in a day to generate business is the key to making this work. And he said, I set a goal that every day I was going to go out and have 10 quality conversations with new people. He had no relationships there. He couldn't use his name. He had to use a fake name, and he had no credibility and nobody knew who he was. So he had to go out and build everything from scratch, including relationships. And he said, my goal was to get out there and get into places where I could meet people, connect with people, and build relationships. And what he did was he said, I've got to find people that have money, that people that have influence or have credibility that I can build those relationships with, because your network equals your net worth. And so he talks about the strategy of doing that. He said, the first thing I did is I went and I found business owners who had businesses for sale. I looked for businesses for sale to meet business owners where there could be opportunity for me. Now, he found one key relationship in, I guess you'd say 2 key relationships, one key relationship the very first day that actually became the business partner that helped him build the business that he would really dial in this 90-day quest. He went to a gym. Now, Grant Cardone, if you follow him, watch him, know that he is in elite physical condition. He trains all the time. And he says, I went to a gym not to work out. He said, I went to a gym because in a gym there are people and you can talk to people and you can meet people. And said, I went to gyms so that I could meet people and get connections with people. Now he meets a guy named Matt Smith. Matt Smith is the one who was a local business owner in Pueblo, and he wanted more business. And so they began collaborating, and what he did was he helped Matt create a promotional campaign to help him get more business. Well, through all of that, they're going to print flyers. And so to print flyers, he's going to go to a print shop. He goes to the print shop, and at the print shop, not only is he getting the printing job done, but he's meeting the owner of the print shop. And he just says, here's the key. I want them to know that I'm somebody that they want to have a relationship with. So he just says, I'm in there saying, and it shows him on video, he's in there in the print shop, and he's just talking to the person and thanking him. It's like, I'm your new best friend. I'm going to bring you business. See, with relationships, he created, with no name, with no money, and all of that, with the relationships, he created a base from which to work. And in the show, he gets a nice Jeep to drive instead of his old clunker 200,000 mile Suburban. He gets an RV to live in, and he gets $5,000 business marketing budget to help promote Matt Smith's gym, or Matt Smith's mattress store. He owned a mattress store. And just went out there, and he said the relationships was the key. I knew that for me to build a 7-figure business, build a business worth $1 million or more in 90 days, it had to be from relationships. I had to get in there and get to know people, and that's what he does. And he said, I went out and I just hustled, not chasing money, but chasing relationships. And everything he got, he said, I got my food. He said, I needed a computer. I literally hustled a computer from the landlord that he ended up renting from later. And I'm taking hours and hours of this video, and I'm kind of compressing it into the principles and the things that I learned. But there's one time when he's like, he ends up renting a little house that he's going to use as his office. This is going to be his headquarters. He's going to office from here and build his empire from this place. Well, he needs a computer. He doesn't have a computer. Has $100. What does he do? So he actually negotiates with the landlord who has an extra computer and says, let me use your computer. And so he ends up getting a computer that he can use for free. He gets internet and all of this paid for free. Just renting the space. Now, there's some other pieces to this I don't have time to go into, but the key is he leveraged relationships and collaborating with other people to build the opportunities to build business. Okay, principle number 6 that I took away, super profound. He says, take control of everything as fast as you can. He says, when you feel like you're not in control because you don't have money, you don't have credibility, it's like you feel like you're out of control. He says, I knew I had to get control of myself. I had to feel like I was in control of my world so that I had the power, the emotional energy, and the emotional confidence to go out and make this happen. And so he said, first thing I did every morning, he said, 1, I got up early. 2, I made my bed. And 3, I cleaned up my RV that he was staying in. He said, I swept it out every day. He said, why? Because I needed to take control of my space. And in the conversations, in the relationships, he's looking to take control, not for manipulation, just to be in control as a leader to make things happen. So when he's getting ready to go meet Matt Smith for breakfast, Matt says, do you want me to just meet there, or you want me to pick you up? You want to pick me up? What do you want to do? And Grant says, I'll pick you up. And he says, the key was I wanted to be in control. This is not trying to take away from anybody else. It's just a matter of being the leader. If you're going to build something, you, my friend, have to learn how to lead, how to take initiative, and how to take control. And there's so many little things that happened through this whole documentary as documentary or show, and as Grant talks about and explains what was happening behind the scenes and the things they did not have time to show. You've got 90 days compressed into a TV show or whatever. And he said learning how to take control and be in control of your environment and everything is super, super important. Okay, number 7, focus on adding value before making money. Focus on adding value before making money. He said, I didn't walk in and try to start just getting money from people. He said, I went into people, and he said, first thing I had to do is I had to get into relationship. And he said, when I went in, I needed a place to sleep. I needed an opportunity. I needed a job. I needed a way to make money. And he said, I walked in and he said, I don't want money. I'm looking for an opportunity to add value and to make things work. And so that's what he did. So he goes in, meets Matt Smith, mattress store owner, and he creates a marketing promo campaign for him to help him sell more mattresses, to help him grow his business. And he does it without any offer of compensation for himself. In other words, there's no money in it for him. He's just like, let me help you make money because I'm looking at building a partnership and I'm looking for the long game, not the short game. So you focus on adding value before you focus on trying to get money from people. And he said, if I'd just gone in and asked for money, they'd have said no. But what he ended up getting was a $5,000 marketing budget to go and be able to leverage stuff, and again, leverage an opportunity for him to add value, create value for Matt Smith and his mattress store so that he could build a relationship so that he could demonstrate his value, and then the compensation would begin to come, which it did. Now, so he gets this project, and he gets Matt to agree to it, gets a $5,000 marketing budget from him. He said, I never asked for money. What I asked for was a marketing budget. So I said, I wasn't asking for money. So if you go in and start asking for money, you're going to get resistance. But what you do is, he said, I created an opportunity that would add value to Matt, sold him on the idea, sold him on the project, and said, I'll do the work I'll put up all the energy and effort up front. I just need you to fund the project. And so that's how he got the marketing budget. Okay, number 8. Number 8, you can still perform and produce even in chaos and drama. Now, here was what was crazy about all this. I'd heard about this online, but I'd never seen it, didn't really know anything about it. But all of this was actually filmed. This show was created in the middle of COVID. It literally started as COVID began shutting everything down. And on day like 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever, they completely shut the show down, the recording down because of COVID. And so he literally had to leave, go back home for 3.5 months, not knowing what was going to happen. And really, at that point, had no intention of ever going back. It's like, it's over, done. I'm not going back. This is too much, too hard. I don't like being away from my family. I don't like not being who I am. And he said, I'm not going back. And 3.5 months later, the TV producers called and said, hey, we're back on. Are you ready to go? And he said, oh, I did. I went back because I always finish what I start. Now, there's still going to be chaos and drama. When he gets there, he gets COVID. Like, he got COVID. Literally, so for a week or 10 days, for 10 days, he is quarantined. He can't do the work. Not only because he's sick, because he can't go out, he can't go meet people, he can't do all the things that Grant Cardone does to make money. And see, it's one of the most frustrating things to happen. I just wanted to give up. It was crazy. I was bored. I was just dying the whole time. He said, but I refused to fail. And he talks about one of the hardest things is, he said, in the first 10 days, I got momentum. I had things happen. We had projects going on. All of a sudden, that gets shut down. He's gone for 3.5 months. He comes back. The RV he was driving was gone. The Jeep that he had borrowed, and again, another story, the nice Jeep that he had been driving, that had been sold, so he didn't have access to that anymore. The deal that he had done before, he'd actually gotten a check for $10,000 from Matt for a partnership. And now, because everything's shut down, he's like, I didn't cash a check because I didn't know if I was ever going back. And so he goes back. He's got to start over, all over again. Goes back to Matt at the mattress store. They reconnect and they continue to collaborate. But he said, I had lost all my momentum and all the stuff that we were doing. Basically, he said, I had to start over. And he said, I was missing my family. I decided I never wanted to be away from my family. And now I'm away from my family. And then I went home and then I've come back and I'm like, I don't want to be here without my family. But even in the midst of all that drama and his personal chaos of him getting sick, him getting COVID and all of that, he continued to produce, continued to push forward, and he did not quit. Are there going to be setbacks? Yes. Are there going to be frustrating times and things happen? Yes. But you never quit. And that was what he chose to do, to continue to push through and perform regardless of the drama, regardless of the chaos that was going on, not only in his own life, personally, his own health, the business, the show, COVID, the economy, all of that stuff was happening in real time, and he's trying to build a real business in a real world with no credibility. Number 9. You have to take care of the money to take care of your family. You have to take care of the money to take care of family, meaning the way you take care of your family, if you're the breadwinner, if you're the one you're the provider for your family, one of your number one, if not your number one priority for your family is to provide for them. And what happened was there was a time where he was talking to his wife on the phone and he gets another phone call coming in and he's like, honey, I've got to take this call. I'll get back to you later. Now, he's talking to his wife who's been missing and they've not seen each other for weeks. And a phone call comes in and he says, I have an agreement with my wife and with my family that even if we're talking on the phone, unless it's an emergency, I will bounce the conversation with my family to take a business opportunity. And people go like, well, I think family should be first. And he says, family is first. But he says, if I don't take care of my family, if I don't make money, if I don't provide for them, then I'm not taking care of my family. I can't put them first. So he said, sometimes putting family first means you have to take other opportunities and you have to have that worked out in your own mind so that you have clarity that your first responsibility, if you want to put family first, is you got to make money. So it was like, well, I want to spend time with my family. I get it. But if you don't spend time in the work, making the money, you're not going to be able to take care of your family. And being able to put family first, part of that responsibility is your responsibility to make sure you provide for them. Number 10, He said his mom always taught him the squeaky wheel gets the oil. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. And he mentioned this several times throughout the video. Put yourself out there. Now, if you're like me, I've always had a hard time with that. I like doing things for people. I like serving. I like delivering results. But actually marketing and promoting myself and all that was always hard for me because there was something about it that seemed egotistical and all of that. And he's like, if you want to get business, attention is the way you get business nowadays. We are in an attention economy. And he says, you got to be loud and you got to be proud. You've got to put yourself out there, be memorable. He's going in to meet with a potential client in the business that him and Matt started up, which was a promotional marketing business. And he said, when I went in there, I knew that I had to be memorable. And I'm just a guy that he has no idea who I am. I walk in, I do the meeting. He says, I know that I've got to be memorable, that I've got to be aggressive and make myself known. Even with this guy, so that even if I don't get the deal today, that the guy will remember me, he'll talk about me, and it will increase my chance of doing that. And even like at one point, even gets on an electronic bull, riding the bull and injures himself. He said, I was putting myself out there to say, I've got to get attention. I've got to get known of who I am. And he said, you've got to be aggressive. And when you feel like you're being too aggressive, you got to keep being aggressive. He said, enough is never enough because money follows attention. Now I'm going to say that again. Money follows attention. And so part of what he just said, you got to put yourself out there. You got to put yourself out there all the time. And in a world today where it is so noisy and so loud, you've got to put yourself out there. You got to be aggressive. You got to be proactive on it. You got to be consistent, and you got to do a lot of it. And you've got to do things to be memorable. All right. That's number 10. Number 11, be obsessed. If you are going to succeed, you must be obsessed with that success. Be obsessed with success, which means if you're going to do this, you got to go all in. You got to be willing to do whatever it takes. And he said, whenever I was not feeling well, whenever things weren't going right, I had setbacks, frustration, when COVID shut everything down, I had to go back home and then I had to come back and I had lost my momentum. He said, I don't have time to be depressed. I don't have time to get down on myself. I don't have the luxury of feeling sorry for myself because winning is everything. So you don't have the luxury of letting things happening and get you down. They get you, you got to bounce right back up and keep on going. And it's got to be an obsession that you've got to demand from yourself that you become the best version of yourself and put yourself out there over and over and over, regardless of what is happening. And you have to be obsessed with winning. You've got to be obsessed with winning. He said all the other things that happen to people and all the other diagnoses that you can have that take people out of the game. He said, my diagnosis is this. It's not ADD. It's not ADHD. It's WIN. Win. That is the one thing that drives me. That is the one thing that compels me. The one thing that controls me. If you're going to build a successful business, if you're going to make a lot of money, you have to be obsessed with your success. And then number 12. And I took these just in the order that I wrote them down, the orders as they came out in the show, that as I picked up on stuff. So not necessarily last, not necessarily most important, but just number 12 is show up like you want to be there, even if you don't. And he talks about, there was a meeting that he was supposed to go to, and he said, I don't believe in this meeting. I think it's a waste of time. I don't want to go. He's griping and complaining about it while he's driving to meet Matt to go into the meeting to pitch a bank on a marketing promotion campaign. He says, banks don't do marketing and promotion campaigns. They're not going to buy it. They're not going to go for it. I'm wasting my time. And I'd rather be out there finding a business that is going to make us money, where we are going to get a contract. He said, I didn't want to be there, but Matt had the relationship. Matt set it up. I had to go. And he said, I don't want to be here. He's getting out of the car and he's out of the G, and he's still complaining about it. And he said, but when I walked in, I had to act like I wanted to be there. I had to be 100% there, even though I didn't feel it. And he said, I didn't feel it. He said, sometimes I go in, I feel nervous. You're going to be nervous. He said, I'm always nervous. He said, even today, when I still go into a meeting, he said, I still get nervous. So if you're feeling nervous going into a meeting, or like I don't want to do this, I don't want to be here, I don't think this is going to work, you've got to change the attitude and set the commitment, set the intention that I'm going to make the best of this, and this is going to go great. And it turned out to be one of their first big clients was this bank. And he said, I totally missed it. I thought this was going to be a waste of time. I didn't want to be there, but I still walked in and showed up like I wanted to be there. And I put on my best. I did my best, and we got the deal. Now, I'm going to highly recommend, I'm going to have my team drop the link here in this video for you to go watch this episode of, it's a Grant Cardone video, behind the scenes of the Undercover Billionaire. It's insanely powerful. If you've watched it and you're watching this video and you learned other lessons from it, drop those in the comment. What were the lessons you learned? What were the takeaways that you learned? If you go and watch it and then come back here, I'd love to hear your comments and things that came up for you as you watched it. If you hate Grant Cardone, oh well, he's got the fruit on the tree. And people are going to always, you got to know, this is going to happen to you too. That if you're going to be successful, you're going to have people that are going to judge you. They're going to criticize you. So save it. If you're wanting to put comments in here about how you hate Grant Cardone or how whatever negative things you want to say about him, say it if you want to, but he's got the fruit on his tree. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. If it has, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Put your comments, questions, thoughts, things that I missed. If you've seen this episode, this video from Grant Cardone, it was awesome. I highly recommend it. It's a big chunk of time to watch it. But when you watch it, take notes, and most importantly, take action on what you learn. Learning does no value to you unless you take action on what you learn. So I hope this video has been helpful. Have a great day, play to win, and always expect yes.